Hi, it's Gwyn and welcome back to the channel where we celebrate the music, the stories and the legacy of the greatest ever band and them as solo artists. Today we're taking a long deep look into John Lennon's solo album that often gets overlooked but in many ways reveals more of the man than possibly Imagine or Plastic Ono Band ever did. We're talking about Walls and Bridges. Released in September 1974 during John's infamous Lost Weekend, it's a part confessional, part comeback and part chaotic New York jam session. So sit back, pour yourself a cup of tea, or something stronger maybe, and join me for a deep dive into Walls and Bridges, the sounds, the stories, the heartbreak and the hits. To understand Walls and Bridges, we have to understand where John Lennon was in 1974, personally and artistically. He was living apart from Yoko Ono, who had essentially engineered his affair with May Pang in what was, by all accounts, a bizarre and complex emotional arrangement. John moved to Los Angeles, fell in with Harry Nilsson and the gang, and partied his way through a haze of Brandy Alexander's, bar altercations and legendary studio blowouts. This was the so-called Lost Weekend, though it lasted nearly 18 months. Mind Games from 1973 hadn't delivered the impact of his earlier solo work, and he was feeling the pressure. So when he began work on a new album in early 1974, he relocated back to New York, cleaned up a little, and took the reins as producer. No Phil Spector this time. The result was Lennon's most sonically diverse and commercially successful album during his lifetime. Another significant event of 1974 for John occurred on the 23rd of August, when John claims to have witnessed a UFO slowly cruising over the East River in New York and supported by May Pang and other local residents. Taking a nighttime smoke break on his apartment balcony, he was convinced he saw a dark-coloured circular object with pulsating lights around the rim and a red light on top. Referenced on the inner sleeve of Walls and Bridges and later on Nobody Told Me, there's UFOs over New York and I ain't too surprised. So let's have a look at the album itself. Musically, Walls and Bridges is restless. It jumps between styles, funk, soul, rock and roll and confessional ballads, and even a touch of jazz here and there, most unlike John. This isn't a concept album like Plastic Ono Band or a political statement like Sometime in New York City. This is a portrait of a man spinning in emotional freefall, but still in control in the studio. The production is lush. Horns, strings, layered vocals. It's one of Lennon's most crafted albums. He even created the cover art using his own childhood drawings, complete with surreal captions and fold-out photos of his 30-year-old face in multiple colour schemes. Let's also bring into focus the incredible musicians that John had surrounded himself during the sessions. Jim Keltner on drums, Jesse Ed Davis on guitar, Nicky Hopkin on piano, Klaus Voormann on bass, Arthur Jenkins providing percussion, and sax by Bobby Keys, and other contributions by Harry Nilsson and Elton John, no less. This is a wonderful ensemble of musical craftspeople displaying their wonderful abilities, all on top of their game. This is the only John Lennon solo album to hit #1 in the US while he was alive, a point worth repeating considering Imagine never made it into the top spot during his lifetime. So let's break down the album track by track, each one revealing a different piece of the Lennon puzzle. The album opens with Going Down on Love. This opening track is slick and jazzy, but melancholy. Lennon's lyrics, "Somebody please, please help me," are disguised in funky rhythms and conga drums. It sets the tone. This album is both danceable and devastating. The second track is "Whatever Gets You Through the Night," his only solo #1 hit in the US during his lifetime. Elton John brings pure joy to this upbeat anthem. It's deceptively happy. Beneath the Shine is a song about survival, not happiness. The phrase came from a TV preacher, the Reverend Ike, and John loved its cynicism. This is a juggernaut of a song, with its infectious pace delivering an upbeat slap in the face from its opening note till the very end. Elton John's jaunty piano drives too, as does Bobby Keys on sax. Majestic and a US #1 to boot. Elton famously bet John that their recording would hit the #1 spot. The forfeit for Lennon would be that he would have to join Elton on stage to perform the song, which he duly did on November the 28th, 1974 at Madison Square Garden. John also contributed to "I Saw Her Standing There" and "Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds" at the show, and each of these songs was released on an EP in 1981. The third track is "Old Dirt Road." Co-written with Harry Nilsson, this song is a slow, swampy ballad that captures the haze of the 1970s burnout. A beautiful track about resignation and faded dreams. The chorus, "Keep on keeping on," is an anthem for tired souls. The song was written during the sessions for Nilsson's Pussycats LP, which preceded the Walls and Bridges recordings. Track 4, "What You Got." Lennon goes full James Brown, a hard, funky track with blasting horns and explosive vocals. Lyrically, it's raw. You don't know what you got until you lose it. Clearly a message to Yoko at the time, but maybe also to himself. Track 5 is "Bless You," one of the most beautiful, subtle love songs Lennon ever wrote. It's not pleading, it's accepting. Soft jazz chords, a restrained vocal, and a graceful message of enduring love, even if it's not returned. This song is so underrated. Track 6 is "Scared." Lennon at his most vulnerable. A haunting wolf howl opens the song. "I'm scared, scared, scared." This is Plastic Ono Band territory. John in the middle of his Walls and Bridges, raw, broken and exposed. The consistent rhythm of this track is literally the heartbeat to this fabulous song that builds and builds, exposing John's vulnerability. Side 2 opens with #9 Dream. Pure atmosphere, string arrangements swirl, the melody floats and John sings as if in a trance. "Ah Bawakawa Pussy Pussy." It means nothing, but it feels like it means everything. It's Lennon's most psychedelic solo moment, and it still sounds timeless. This is also a marvellous and ethereal counterpoint to the previous track, "Scared." The song had a working title of "So Long Ago" and "Walls and Bridges" before eventually settling on #9 Dream, and the song came to John in a dream, and ironically reaching #9 in the US charts. The next track is "Surprise Surprise, Sweet Bird of Paradox," a love song to May Pang, Yoko's replacement, and yet the lyrics are clearly still tangled in guilt and confusion. The song is a fast shuffle with doo-wop style backing vocals, but the tension never quite resolves. The next track is "Steel and Glass," and many people believe this was aimed at ex-manager Alan Klein, though Lennon never really confirmed it. The bitter tone, descending strings and distorted vocals echo How Do You Sleep? But here there's more sadness than venom. The line, see your mother in the mirror, may have been self-referential. Regardless, this is a great song, lyrically biting, and the orchestral score adding gravitas to the proceedings. Beef Jerky's next, an instrumental, but it's not a filler. It's tight, funky, and shows Lennon was still having fun in the studio. A palate cleanser before the emotional weight of the final tracks. The interspersed guitar break echoes Paul's Let Me Roll It. But overall, the inspiration for this track is the brass-laden stack sound. Next, we have Nobody Loves You When You're Down and Out, one of Lennon's great vocal performances. Deeply sad, Sinatra-esque, but utterly self-loathing. Everybody's hustling for a buck and a dime. I just sing for the sake of the song. This is rock star disillusionment at its most poetic. Lennon's deliberately lethargic vocal is, however, compelling, echoing a crooner delivering a final song of the night in an emptying bar, tired of the showbiz that has let him down. This is absolutely mesmerising, and I have to say I love Jim Keltner's drum conclusion to the faster passages. Fantastic. The album concludes with Ya Ya, a light-hearted outro. John and son Julian bang out a brief cover of the Lee Dorsey hit. It's sweet, a bit silly, and maybe an attempt to reconnect with his son after years of neglect. So how was the album received? Critics in 1974 gave Walls and Bridges a polite thumbs up, but didn't really shout about it. Rolling Stone praised its polish and musicality. Melody Maker said it was curiously quiet in impact. NME said Lennon was nursing a wound with style. Today, the album is more appreciated, especially by fans who've lived with it for decades. It's not a manifesto like Imagine, or a primal scream like Plastic Ono Band. Instead, it's a beautifully chaotic snapshot of a man trying to hold himself together with soul, strings, and an element of sarcasm. It's also worth noting Walls and Bridges was John's final studio album before retiring in 1975. After this, he stepped away from music to raise Sean, before returning in 1980 with Double Fantasy. So, where does Walls and Bridges sit in the Lennon discography? For me, and for many fans, it's a hidden masterpiece. Not perfect, not always coherent, but raw, heartfelt, and musically very rich. You can feel Lennon fighting with himself, the rock star, the lost husband, the confused father, but the musical genius. It's the sound of walls breaking down and bridges being built, sometimes shaky, sometimes strong. Whereas Plastic Ono Band and to some extent Imagine are LPs where I have to be in the mood, Walls and Bridges for me is more accessible and its variety is equally compelling. As I've absorbed this album this week, it's really been a delight to re-familiarise myself with this fabulous LP. And for me, I'm going to give it 4.5 stars. But what's your favourite track on Walls and Bridges? Do you think it's underrated or rightly overlooked? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's have a bit of a fab discussion over it. If you've enjoyed this video, then give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more Beatles deep dives and ring the bell for notifications. Until next time, peace, love, and whatever gets you through the night. Bye for now.